Hello, my dear friend. Welcome to this sacred moment, because what you are about to hear is not coincidence, but divine alignment, a word prepared long before you pressed play, a message sealed in eternity, waiting for the exact moment your spirit would be ready to receive it. And now the time has come, and I want you to lean in, because this is not just inspiration, it is revelation, it is confirmation, it is the unveiling of what heaven has already spoken over your life. And you need to hear it with every fiber of your being, because there comes a moment in the journey of every chosen one where the voices of doubt, the accusations of the enemy, the endless delays and detours, all converge into one great silence. And in that silence, heaven thunders with a verdict that cannot be appealed, a judgment that no man can overturn. And when the gavel of God strikes, all of creation must bow to what he has declared. And over your life, he has already spoken one word that echoes through eternity: victory. And not victory because you earned it, not victory because you perfected yourself, but victory because before you took your first breath, before you shed your first tear, before you faced your first failure, the author of time himself wrote your name into his story of triumph. And Ephesians 2:10 says, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." Meaning your life was prepared before you lived it, your calling was sealed before you pursued it, and your victory was declared before you fought a single battle. And that is why certain struggles never made sense. Why you carried burdens others could not understand, because you were living under the weight of a decision too eternal to fit into earthly categories. And when God chooses someone, he chooses them fully, not halfway, not conditionally, not until you stumble, but completely. And with that choice comes a journey the world cannot explain. And to the eyes of others, it may look like you are losing ground. It may look like delay. It may look like rejection. But in the unseen realm of heaven, every detour is evidence. Every disappointment is testimony. Every delay is preparation, all building toward a verdict that has already been written in your favor. And Romans 8:30 says, "Those he predestined, he also called. Those he called, he also justified. Those he justified, he also glorified." Which means your story has already been settled in heaven's record. And if your life were a courtroom, the enemy would stand as the accuser, presenting every failure, every sin, every shame. But Revelation 12:10 declares that the accuser of the brethren has been thrown down, and before his case could even be argued, God would silence the court with his gavel, saying, "The case is closed, the verdict is victory." And that verdict is not based on your weakness, but on his strength, not based on your record, but on his purpose. And that is why despair could not bury you. That is why depression could not suffocate you. That is why betrayal did not destroy you, because heaven had already ruled in your favor. And Isaiah 41:10 reminds you, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." And that is why you are still standing, because even in the nights you thought no one noticed, heaven was writing down every hidden obedience, every whispered yes, every tear that fell when you thought you were alone. And Psalm 126 verse 5 promises, "Those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy." And your tears have become seed for harvest. Your pain has become proof. Your wilderness has become witness. And the verdict over your life was never silent, but shouted across eternity, "Victory!" And if the struggle has felt heavier, it was not to crush you, but to carve you. It was God chiseling away every false identity, every fear, every doubt, until only the testimony remained. And like Joseph, who was betrayed by his brothers, imprisoned by injustice, and forgotten by men, yet elevated by God to save nations, Genesis 50:20 declares, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." And so it is with you. What the enemy designed as harm has been transformed as evidence of your divine assignment. And Job, who lost everything yet could still say in Job 19:25, "I know that my Redeemer lives, and that in the end he will stand on the earth," shows us that even ashes become altars when God rules the case. And David, who was overlooked by his own father, yet chosen to be king, reminds us that rejection is not disqualification, but redirection. And Esther, who was an orphan, raised in obscurity, yet placed in a palace, reminds us that hidden seasons are not wasted seasons, but preparation for appointed moments. And Paul, who was once the persecutor, became the apostle, proves that the verdict of heaven is stronger than the reputation of man. And you too carry that same story, because chosen vessels are not sculpted like everyone else. They are pressed harder, carved deeper, refined longer, not because God delights in your pain, but because he trusts you with his light. And Matthew 5:16 says, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." And that is exactly what you are becoming, living proof that his light cannot be extinguished, his calling cannot be revoked, his purpose cannot be undone. And society may look at outcomes, but heaven looks at endurance. And James 1:12 says, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life," which means the crown is already prepared, the reward is already sealed. And your endurance is the evidence, and what looked like a curse was actually the blessing. What felt like a setback was the setup. What seemed like punishment was preparation. And the reason you could never blend in, never be satisfied with shallow things, never settle for the ordinary, is because your spirit was carrying something eternal. And now hear me, when heaven rules in your favor, the earth must align. And what God has closed in eternity, no one can reopen in time. And Isaiah 22:22 says, "What he opens, no one can shut, and what he shuts, no one can open." So if you have wondered why your life felt like an endless trial, take courage, because the trial is over. The case is closed, the verdict is final, and that verdict is victory. And soon you will see with your own eyes what your spirit has always known, not just in promises, but in reality, not just in faith, but in manifestation, because God does not see you as the one who stumbled. He does not define you by the nights of regret. He sees the identity he declared from the beginning, chosen, victorious, beloved, sealed. And if you see only through the lens of the world, you will call blessing a burden, preparation a punishment, uniqueness, isolation. But if you dare to see through the lens of heaven, you will see that to be marked by God is the greatest honor, because you are not ordinary. You never were. And if you were, your path would look ordinary. But chosen lives are forged in extraordinary fire. And 1 Peter 2:9 proclaims, "But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his wonderful light." And that is you, my friend, his possession, his vessel, his testimony, and you do not have to wait for the applause of men or the opening of doors to celebrate that truth. You can look into your own scars and see his hand. You can trace the lines of your story and see his faithfulness. You can remember the nights you almost gave up but didn't, and realize that heaven was cheering long before earth understood. And Hebrews 12:1 encourages you. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. And heaven has already seen you run. They saw you walk when you wanted to crawl. They saw you love when betrayal tried to harden you. They saw you trust when silence tempted you to quit. And now it is time for you to see yourself that way too, because the blessing of being chosen is not only a future promise, but a present reality. Proof that God still moves in ordinary flesh. Proof that weakness becomes strength. Proof that endurance speaks louder than talent. And the paradox is this: the more you accept the identity of chosen, the more your reality transforms to reflect it, and atmospheres shift, opportunities chase you, relationships align, because the decree of heaven echoes on earth. And as you embody the truth of who you are, your future unfolds in confirmation. The victorious you in heaven's record begins to manifest on earth, and that is why setbacks did not erase you. They refined you. Disappointments did not cancel you. They revealed you. Heartbreaks did not end you. They expanded you. And when you live fully in that identity, you not only transform your life, but the lives around you, becoming a sermon not of words, but of existence. And people will feel hope without knowing why. But it will be because you're the embodiment of what their spirits long for. Unbreakable resilience, unending love, unstoppable light. And one day you will look back and see it all clearly. Every trial, not just survived, but transformed into glory. Every pain, not just endured, but redeemed. Every delay, not just waiting, but preparation. And you will know with certainty that God's vision of you was never a dream, but always the truest reality, and you simply had to grow into it. So do not delay your joy. Do not wait for tomorrow to celebrate who you are, because heaven celebrates you now. The gavel has fallen, the case is closed, the verdict is final, victory belongs to you. And Psalm 26 says, "Now this I know, the Lord gives victory to his anointed. He answers him from his heavenly sanctuary with the victorious power of his right hand." And you are his anointed. You are his example. You are his proof. So lift your head. Stop rehearsing accusations already erased. Stop replaying failures already overturned. The ruling is final. You are chosen. You are victorious. You are the living testimony of God's glory on earth. And as you carry that truth, not only in spirit, but in how you speak, how you walk, how you live, the world will have no choice but to recognize what heaven has already declared. The case is closed. Victory is the verdict, and you are the proof. And as Isaiah 61 commands, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." So shine, my dear friend, shine as the chosen one you are, because nothing, absolutely nothing, can reverse what heaven has spoken over your life.